Huh? Always swear.
Okay, so welcome to this class. Okay, so I just returned your pretest result. The highest score is 105 out of 100. I mean, he gets everything correct plus the extra point. Okay, now, anybody have question before we start? No? Are you ready? Okay, so today we have the first actually lecture for this class. So it's gonna be, we're gonna start with the introduction, with the evolution, and also we will learn about your assignments. So the class mostly will be kind of practical. It's not really all the theory, but it's gonna be related to your activities that you do during this study abroad. And one of them, for this week, you have assignment on monocots and dicots, right? So related to evolutions, what you have to do with this assignment is actually you have to know, different, at least right now, different type of monocots plants and dicots plants, comparing their morphology, their structure, and then using that characteristic, try to think logically, based on your learning, what kind of adaptation of these plants have it in their habitat. So you should be able to see that some plant may be only present in the open area, some actually within the canopy, right, and etc. So that's actually part of their adaptation, why they are only present in the open area, for example. Right? So you should be able to connect that adaptation with their structure. Okay? Now, do you have question for this assignment? No? So far so good? Okay. Now, again, for the first lecture, everybody already know the evolution, right? What is evolution? Gotta do a chair for long uh, period of time. Okay, and it will actually related to the adaptation. And there is a very important hypothesis about this evolution. How the evolution work? What kind of hypothesis that we learned from evolution? What kind of force that actually work in evolution? Natural selection. That's the only things actually we learned, which is natural selection will make the organism adapt, and it's kind of make them evolve. This evolution sometimes also create different species, sometimes not. Sometimes not. If this creating different species, then that process become what we call speciation, right? I guess speciation. Like human, for example, right now, we don't really create different species, right? But we kind of evolve a little bit, actually. We evolve a little bit. Maybe it's very short time right now. It's not really, you don't really see the changes, but it's actually we evolve from the previous generation to our generation, maybe to the next generation. Sometimes it's gonna be evolving also. Okay. Yes. Do you have question?
I did actually have a question about the homework.
Okay.
For the plants, I know we have to know whether or not they're monocots or dicots. How much do we have to identify them?
We're gonna do that later. We have this in the lecture. That's the reason why I said it's gonna be really practical. Our first lecture, first we're gonna have introduction about evolution. Then we will talk about the assignment. Therefore, during this week, I already give you the information how to do the assignment. At least from this previous. The same thing with the next week, for example. Maybe a lecture on Monday. Mostly we're gonna talk about the practical things that you do with your assignment. And the next lecture will be continue, our program, in our syllabus. Okay, so we will go that. in this lecture. Hey, anybody have other question? No? Okay, now, when we talk about evolution, right, remember what the Darwin say about evolution. What is actually evolved? Species or population? Population. Yeah, species don't really evolve, but is evolved within the population. This is very different with Lamarck. Lamarck actually mentioned that individual can evolve, but it's not really. It's gonna be based on variety or diversity within the population. Just look at us in human, for example. We are diverse. Well, they are different. Therefore, in human, we don't really say that, like for example, people in Africa or in Asia and Europe, do you think they are different species or the same species? Same species, but they are different, right? Therefore, they also give this little bit name. It's not really species. What do you call it? Anybody know what? Sometimes you have to, when you fill out the form, you have to say what is your race, right? You see that one? Race, yeah. It's not really what is your species. My species is Homo sapien. But there is another thing that you feel it out over there. It's telling you where you're coming from. What is that? Race, right? So race, like for example, I am Asian. So you are Latino, something like that, right? Europeans or, that's race, but it's not really species. This is telling us what happened. There is a diversity within population. This is actually the one that evolved, right? The one that will evolve. In human, it's not really giving us species, but it's giving us what? Race. There is several races. Now, look at the natural selection and the artificial selection. So people have done so many things, so much things in artificial selection, right? So how many type of dogs actually from that artificial selection that they can make? So far, it's actually there's still one species, right? One species of dog, but you see, there's a little one. There is a big one, right? But what do you call them? Do you call this a different species or just different breeds? Okay? For the animal, they call it what? Breeds, not race. You see, they have different name. Yeah, there is no, Asian dog, but they have breeds. Anybody know what is the name of the breeds? The one, the small one, Chihuahua. The one that's really one, Danes. Danes is really really tall, and are you with me, right? So this is evolution. Okay, so there are actually so many evidence of evolution that actually organism evolve. If it is creating a new species, that evolution becomes speciation. You follow this? Okay. Now, for our assignment, because we're gonna learn about different type of organism, different type of species, okay, at least we have to know the background information, what is actually species, what is actually organism. Okay? Therefore, for this first class, we're gonna learn about what we call the biological organization. So in biology, in living thing, everything actually organized. It's really organized. It is not just disorganized, but everything is organized. Okay, now this is what we call the biological organization. Okay. Okay, so this is important for us to understand the next level of learning. We start with a very basic information over here. So everything is actually organized, right? Consists of things. Now, everything is actually consists of very small unit. What? The smallest unit of matter. Anybody know what is the smallest unit of matter? Atom. Okay, everything consists of water. Water. See, everything consists of atoms. What is atoms? Atoms can be defined as the smallest unit of matter. Smallest unit of matter. Okay. Now look at me. Okay, and look at this pen. You see the difference? No, yeah, yeah. Which one living? Me, I can talk. How about this one? This is non-living. So there are two types of matter actually. First, what we call the living matter, and this is non-living matter. But if you see each of different matter over here, whether living matter, non-living matter, they all consist of what? Atom. Because what? Atom is the smallest unit of matter. It does not matter whether living or non-living, they still consist of atoms. I get it? Now, this atom then organize, combine. Basically, okay, there are more than 200 atoms in this nature. Many of them is actually unstable. They cannot be present by themselves. They have to combine. Many of them. Only several atoms that can exist by themselves. Anybody know what is the name of the atom that can exist by itself?
Noble gases? Or are you looking for the specific name?
The general name.
Well, the atoms of the noble gases.
Noble gases, okay? Noble gases, which is in the group 8 on the atomic, what do you call it? The atomic periodic table. Yeah, I forget the name. Periodic table. So, you see that? You see what is neon, argon.
Neon, argon.
He even better know. What is the number? 2, 8, 18. Always adding by 8 because 8 is the stable. If it is 8 on the outside or 2 on the first one, it's going to be stable. Helium is 2, right? And then 10, what is 10?
Yeah.
Neon. And then 18, argon. he memorized one. He said, yeah, right. See, so that atom can be by themselves because what? They are stable atom. They are noble gas. It's called a noble gas. But other than that, they cannot be by themselves because what? They are unstable. They have to combine with other atoms. Okay. Now look at the atom first. The atom have name and symbol. Okay. Usually the symbol gonna be the first letter or the first two letter of the name. Now for the as organic matter, organic living thing, they usually consist of only about 6 dominant atoms, major atoms. What is the most abundant one? Yeah, we can say carbon because organic consists of backbone carbon. And what's the symbol? C. It's coming from the first letter, right? What is the next one? The next one will be hydrogen first, right? So let's say hydrogen and then oxygen. The three is the most abundant one. And then after that coming the nitrogen. And then after that coming the P. What is P? Phosphorus. And then S, sulfur. That's the 6 major. But we also have several smaller atoms in number, in concentration. Let's say, for example, calcium. What is going to be the symbol? Calcium. Ca. You cannot use C because already used by carbon, right? So Ca. We have also sodium, maybe. Come on. How come it's become Na? You remember the symbol is usually the first letter or the first two letter of the name. Sodium. I said sodium. What is the symbol gonna be? What is the symbol for sodium? What is the symbol for sodium?
It's Na.
Na. Come on, if the name is sodium, how come become Na? You know the answer.
Is it natrium?
Natrium. It's actually the original name is natrium. Only in America we call it sodium. but actually scientific name is natrium. Therefore, what? Na. Okay, Na. One more that is confusing in America. But the first time I came here, is I confused because they say sodium chloride. What is sodium chloride? Because in our country we call it natrium chloride. You see that? Yeah. Now, another one that is confusing over here is potassium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why it is not P or P?
Oh right.
The original name.
I think it's.
The original name is kalium with K. Kalium. Therefore, is what? K. Right? So it's, you have an original name. Kalium. So K, which is potassium. Now, this atom, again, mostly they are unstable. They have to combine. When they combine, they create anybody know? What is the combination of atom called? Molecules. Good job. Molecules. Okay. Now, basically, the one that you see around us, mostly molecule. What do you call the molecules that you drink every day? H2O. Water, right? What is the formula? H2O. What is H2O? There are 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, right? That's molecule. So there are 2 types of molecule. The first one is called the inorganic. Inorganic means simple. Simple molecule. Only consists of maybe 2, 3, 4, or 5 atoms. Example is water. What is another example? The thing that is O2. What is not O? Because O will not by itself. They always have to combine. Whether combine with the hydrogen or combine with another O. Become what? O2. What do you call O2? Actually, oxygen gas, not oxygen atom. This is molecule. Okay? You can see that one? Okay. The second type of molecule is called the organics. Organic means complex molecules, right? It consists of even hundreds or thousands of atoms in it. Okay? The organic molecule, the one that usually learns in organic molecule, there are 4 types. The first one is called the carbohydrate. Okay? Carbohydrates. Example is sugar, starch. In the potato, you have a lot of starch over there. Rice is actually carbohydrate, right? The second one is proteins. Okay, proteins is another organic molecule. They are big molecule. The third one is called lipids. Like fats, oil, butter, margarine. They are all fat. They are all lipids. The next one, there is an organic molecule, is called the nucleic acid. There are 2 famous examples of nucleic acid, which is DNA and RNA. So DNA, RNA, they are nucleic acid. So 4 organic molecules that usually learns. Now, this molecule, then again, it will organize. Remember, this talking about biological organization, right? They organize to make what? Anybody know? No? Organelles will be inside in this. Yes. So it's going to be look like this. Right? It has a membrane that actually consists of lipid. It's called the phospholipid bilayer. Right? So lipid. What is lipid? Organic molecule, right? And inside it, mostly what? Water. H2O. Water. What is water? Inorganic molecule. There is also enzyme, which is proteins over here. There are hormones and many things, including the organelles inside it. And there is also a structure that has envelope. And inside that structure, there is a DNA or chromosome. What do you call that structure, the whole thing over here? Nucleus. Okay? See that one? They all actually what? They all actually consist of molecule, organic molecule, inorganic molecule, creating this next organization. And this organization is called what? Cell. Molecules making cell. And starting from the cell, then we call this is as a living matter. Okay, living matter. Okay, the cell is actually smallest structural and functional unit of living. Okay, that's the definition of cell. Smallest unit of structure and function of living. Okay, so every living thing will consist of cell. Remember, we mentioned that last time, right? Every living thing will consist of cell. Virus is not living thing because what? It does not have cell in it. Only have, yeah, it has molecule. The outside of the virus is called capsid. It's actually made of protein. And inside the virus, it has the central core, which is consists of whether DNA or RNA. But there is no cell membrane, there is no cytoplasm, there is no organelle. They are not living thing. Many scientists say that virus is actually the bridge between non-living and living. It's kind of agents of, between non-living and living. Now, this cell, okay, then what? So cell, remember, is the smallest unit of living. There are some organism or living that only consist of one cell. It's called the unicellular organism. Okay, this unicellular organism, examples are bacteria and some protists. They are unicellular. And the second group of organism is called the multicellular organism. Example is us, human. We are multicellular organism. We have trillions of cells in our body. Now, for multicellular organism, this cell will also organize, right? To create what? Tissue. Good job. Tissue. And then tissue will organize to create or just organs. Create organs. In our body, I thought you're gonna say organ system. Yes, stop organs. So organ in our body, our organs like the heart, the liver, the kidney, the mouth. That is organ. Eyes is organ. But for the plant, the leaf, the root, that actually also organs. They are also multicellular organism, right? Now, this organ, they also organize to perform a specific function. So a group of organ that create this organization to do a specific function is called organ system. Organ system. Example in us, human is easy to, to make an example because you know us, you know our own body. Look at this, okay? I have this organ. It's called the mouth. I put the food in the mouth. I grind it, right? And then from the mouth, there is another organ on the back of my mouth. It's called the throat. It's called pharynx or throat. What? And then from the throat, then I have another organ going down over here. Anybody know the name? No, pharynx is throat. Pharynx is throat. And then from the pharynx, from the throat, the food go to the esophagus. And then going here, make me full. That's the one that make me full actually. When the food is here. What do you call this? Stomach. Yeah. And then from the stomach, there's going to be long organ intestine. Start from small and then large intestine, right? And then what happened? If the food is not digested, it's become feces, become waste product. It's go to the storage. A little bit on the somewhere over there. Anybody know what is the name of the storage for feces? No, colon is large intestine and colon is the same name. What is after colon? Rectum. That's the name, rectum. This is the feces storage. You can hold it for maybe 1 day, 2 days over there. And then after that, going out to the last organ for this system. What do you call that organ? Hole, another hole. We start with the hole and then finish with another hole. The anus. Some people say called a-hole. Anus, right? Anus. That's all organ, right? From the mouth until the anus, they're all organ. And that create a specific function. What is the function for that? What this organ doing over here?
Extracting nutrients from food and getting rid of it as waste.
What is the general name for that one? Digesting the food. Therefore, the name of the organ system is called the digestive organ system. Are you with me? There is another one, is for example from the nose, go to the pharynx also, but later is go to the larynx, then trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveolus, and then finally the lungs. Right? That's another system. What do you call that system? Respiratory system. You see that one? They do a very specific function. So many organs organized together to create what we call the organ system. And then organ system will make me. What you call it? The whole thing over here. Organism. I am organism. Right? So organism. Okay? Organism. Okay, and this organism, if it is the same like here, a group organism that can interbreed and produce viable offspring, what do you call it? Species. Species. Okay, so this is kind of the organization of biology. We can continue from species. There is a population, community, and then ecosystem, and then biosphere, but it is not for evolution class. For the biodiversity, we actually continue until that, because we mostly in the biodiversity class we learning about ecology, but for this class we learning about evolution, mostly stop until the species, because that evolution is actually work in the species and population. It's not really going to the next larger organization. But I believe some of you already know what is coming after species. Species will combine to make population. Population will group into community. Community with the non-living environment, creating the ecosystem. And the whole ecosystem in the world is called the biosphere. You get this one? This is just for your information. You get this one? Now, go back to the assignment. In the assignments, you actually have the job to identify monocots and dicots, their structure, their adaptation, and then you can put the logical explanation about their evolution on your assignment. Now, before you go there, I want to give you information about what is actually this monocot and dicot. Well, you have to know what is this in order to be able to describe them. Get it? Now, this world, this nature consists of so many organisms, right? So many species. Organism may be billion, trillion of them if we just talk about organism. But if we talk about species, okay, according to the scientists, they have a very wide kind of estimation of species. They say that species in this world may be between 5 plus minus 3 million species. You see that one? What does that mean? It's a very wide estimation, right? Between 3 and 8, or even sometimes some scientists say around 10 million species. We're talking about species, not talking about organism, right? Organism more than species, because each species maybe have million of members. Are you with me? But if you're talking about species, there are about 5 plus minus 3 million of species in the world. It means that many of them still unknown yet. Get this? Because they have so wide estimation. Now, in order to know the species, of course, we have to able to identify them, right? In order to be able to identify them, we have to give name and classify them, right? Without giving name and classifying them, then it's going to be difficult to know them. Okay, just like for example, human. Okay, we over here, right? Okay, how you know this man? How do you know this woman? How do you know which kind of thing that you know based on what you know him, you know her, based on how you know the difference between this man and this woman, based on what?
They look different.
No. I mean, there are no, no. I just mentioned to you, in order to be able to identify organism, you have to give name and classify them. Eh, so how do you know between you around here?
You have different names.
Do you have different name? What? You are Elmer. No, when someone talking about Elmer, then everybody know that's man over there, right? You are Jonathan. What? When say Jonathan, that's man over there, right? Are you with me? Hania, that's woman over there. Look, you see what name? That's the same with this organism. In order to be able to identify and know them, then scientists or we have to name them and we have to classify them to be easy to identify them. You guys want? So the study or the science that name and classify organism is called taxonomy. There's a special science, it's called taxonomy. Taxonomy means naming and classifying organism. Okay, so taxonomy is a science of naming and classifying organism. The father, in the science usually they have father, right? No mother. The father of taxonomy, is very famous. His name is Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus, that's his name. He is the one that gave name to the organism. He's very famous, okay, with naming and classifying organism. Later you're gonna learn about the what we call the phylogeny, classification based on the what we call the family tree, just like a family tree. That's the way he doing, and Charles Darwin actually follow his effort to making this family tree phylogeny on the evolution and speciation. You follow this, right? Now, so Carolus Linnaeus make this study, okay, the naming and classifying organism. Now, this taxonomy then classify organism into what we call, the name is telling you over here, into level what we call the taxon. Taxon mean level or group. Okay, group. Okay, the highest level of taxon is called domain. So domain is the most inclusive taxon, the most inclusive group, the most inclusive level. Okay, all organisms will be divided or put in 3 different domains. So there are how many domains? 3. Right? The first one is called the domain bacteria. So all bacteria will be in this domain. Okay. The second domain is called the archaea. Archaea, this is also bacteria, but mostly the one that is living in the extreme environment. That's archaea domain. And the last domain, this is for all organism that has nucleus. is called eukarya. Eukarya domain. What is our domain? Human. We are a eukarya, right? Yeah. So because eukarya is organism that has nucleus, then two of these over here, bacteria and archaea, we can call them as a prokarya. Prokarya. What is prokarya? Organism that have cell without nucleus. Easy, right? Biology is easy. Don't make it difficult. Make it easy. Hey. Now, under the domain, there is the lower level or lower taxon is called kingdom. Kingdom. Right? All organism will be divided into or put into 5 different kingdom. You get this one? Hey. What are the 5 different kingdom? The first kingdom is called the kingdom Monera. Monera, Monera, or this kingdom is also sometimes called as Prokarya. What does Prokarya mean again? No nucleus. So bacteria and archaea will be in the same kingdom over here. Monera. Are you with me? Now, kingdom number 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be under this eukarya. Okay, under the domain of eukarya. What does eukarya mean? The cell have nucleus. Okay, now kingdom number 2 over here is going to be the most primitive eukarya. It has cell with nucleus, but they are very simple organism. Eh? And this simple organism sometimes is really difficult to say whether this is plant or animal because they have both characteristics. Therefore, okay, the name of this kingdom is called Protista. Protista or Protis. Have you ever heard Protis, right? That's actually a kingdom. And because they have two groups over there, it can be divided into 2 sub-kingdom. Okay? The first one, the one that have more plant characteristic. So this Protis has chloroplast. Therefore, they're able to perform what? Photosynthesis. Good job. Right? And this group is called algae. What do you call the protists that able to perform photosynthesis? Algae. They have plant characteristic. Many algae is very small, microscopic. You cannot see them, but some of them also very big. Like if you go to the beach next time, you might see some big algae. It's called kelp. That's a brown algae. It's big. That's microscopic. But many of them very small. Very small. The second protist, this is going to be the one that has more animal characteristic. What is that? They don't have chloroplast, but they going to have the structure that make them able to move because that's going to be animal characteristic. What? Movement. Okay? Anybody can tell what is the name of the second group?
Protozoa.
Protozoa. If you go to the zoo, what you looking for? Animal. Zoom in animal. So this group is called the protozoa. Protozoa. What does proto mean? It's kind of primitive. Primitive animals. So in the SpongeBob movie, you see the Mr. Plankton. That Mr. Plankton is actually protozoa. Right? He can talk. He doesn't have the chloroplast. Okay. And the next kingdom, okay, it's called the mycota. You know what is mycota?
Okay.
Fungi. So kingdom of fungi. Fungi is a little bit unique. Yeah, they don't have chloroplast, but they have cell wall, which is plant have cell wall with chloroplast. Fungi have cell wall without chloroplast. So fungi cannot produce food. They have to eat. They have to consume, right? By absorption. Okay, subprobes. They call it subprobe, right? They are unique. Most fungi, they are very small, like a yeast, for example. You cannot see them without microscope. And also some fungi, they're small, but sometimes they can make a colony. Then you can see them. Like, for example, if you put bread on the table, wait maybe 5 days, 7 days, what do you see on the bread? Mold. That mold is actually fungi that is small, but they combine to make colony. It's colony of many many fungi. But there are also some fungi that already big. You can see it maybe on the forest, on the bark of the tree. Anybody know what is the name for that? Mushroom. So mushroom also fungi. And just for information, the biggest organism on the world is actually mushroom. Wow. They are very big, especially in the west coast of America. There are a group of fungi called the Amarilla. Actually really big, several kilometers their body. That's the biggest organism. It's not elephant, it's not whale, but it's a fungi. This is funny, right? So fungi is the biggest organism. Now, the next one is the one that producer on land. What do you call them?
Planter.
Plant. Okay, plante. Okay, plante. All plant. The green plant over there. And then the last one is the one that, like us. What do you call us?
Animalia.
Oh, not mammal, but
I said animalia.
oh, animalia. I heard it's mammal. Sorry, animalia. Yeah, animalia. Mammal is part of the animal. Right? So animalia. So that's the 5 kingdom, right? Now, under the kingdom, the lower taxon is gonna be. Anybody know what is the taxon under the kingdom? Phylum. Phylum. Okay, one kingdom maybe have many phylum. Example, if we talk about Plante, because your assignment is about plant, right? Plante, kingdom of Plante, it has 10 phylum. One of them is flowering plant, which is the one that's your assignment. It's called the Antophyta or Anthophyta, right? We're gonna see that one later, okay? So phylum. And then each phylum will have lower taxon. Anybody know what is the taxon under the phylum? Classes. Class. Okay? Classes. And then under the classes, each class will have many. What is under class? Orders. Okay. That's the classification. Orders. One order maybe have many. What is under the order now? What is the taxon under the order? Families. And then one family maybe have many. What is taxon under family? Genus. If it is many, it's called the genera. Okay, genera mean many genuses. It's called genera. And one genera is called genus. Every genus, one genus will have maybe several species. But in human, it's only have one species. Okay? One species. But in some other organism, one genus can have several species. Okay? You get this one. This is what we call the taxonomy and naming. So the naming of organism, the Carolus Linnaeus, okay, give the rule for naming organism. There is a rule actually for naming organism. That rule is called the binomial nomenclature. The rule of giving name. This is based on the Carolus Linnaeus naming system. What is bi mean in scientific term? Bi-weekly, bi mean two. So therefore, every organism, every species will have two names. This is actually the first rule on naming species. Okay, two name, which is the genus name and the species name. Like human, anybody know what is our species name?
Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens. Homo is actually genus name, and the sapiens is species name. So Homo sapien. And this is also the rule when you put the name, the first letter over here has to be capital letter, right? But the first letter on the second name, it has to be what? Lowercase or capital?
Lowercase.
It has to be lowercase. It's unlike us, right? We both our name capital letter, but species name has to be capital and then lower. And then it has to be, what you call it? It's italicized. Italicized. It's not straight. It's italicized. That's actually the rule. If you writing a paper on the article, you have to follow this rule. Italize and then two name, capital, lowercase. Okay. Now we go back to your assignment. You're gonna differentiate. Okay, we'll have 15 more minutes. That should be enough. Between monocot and dicots. All right? Both of them is actually member of a phylum is called the Antophyta. Antophyta. Now, my question is, what is the kingdom for this Antophyta? This is phylum, right? Phylum Antophyta. What is the kingdom going to be? What's the kingdom? Plantae. Okay? Remember, there are only 5 kingdoms, right? One of them is Plantae. And there are 10 phylum of Plantae. The last phylum is Antophyta. What is the domain of this going to be? What is the domain? Eukarya. Good job. Okay. There are only 3 domains. Okay. One of them is eukarya because plant has cell with the nucleus, right? Now, what is antho mean? Antho mean flower. Phyta mean plant. So therefore, another name for this Antophyta or Antophyta is flowering plant. That's easy, right? Flowering plant, Antophyta. And they also have given another name, it's called the Angiosperm. There is Angiosperm, there is a Gymnosperm. Gymnosperm is actually non-flowering plant, but the Angiosperm, this Antophyta, is the flowering plant. Therefore, this monocot and dicot will have flowers. Because what? They are Antophyta. They are flowering plant. Now, we're going to see the general feature different between the monocot and dicot. Therefore, when you do your assignment, you know which one is monocot, which one is a dicot, right? First, okay, the general feature. General mean most likely they have this feature. Sometimes they don't have it, but in general they have this feature. Monocot. My question is, do they generally small or large or big? The monocot. Mostly, generally they are small plant, right? Do they tall or short? Mostly short, except coconut. Okay, you see that one? There's an exception over there. But mostly, generally, they are short and small plant. Now, how about the dicot then? Generally, they will be big and tall. Big and tall. This is not the store, okay? For you know the big and tall store. Big and tall. Now, next characteristic or feature. Look at the stem. The stem. Which one is hard? Which one is woody? Consists of wood. Wood means hard materials. Dicot or monocot?
Monocot.
Which one is going to be hard? Their trunk, their stem. Which one is going to be hard? The monocot or dicot? Don't change it. Don't change it. It's going to be dicot, right? Dicot's going to be woody stem or woody trunk. We call it trunk, the stem. Therefore, if you want to make a house, you're going to take from this dicot, okay? But there is also monocot that woody, just like a coconut, the palm, they're also hard. But mostly they are what? They are mostly what we call the herbaceous. What herbaceous mean? Soft. Yeah. Soft stem. Okay. Monocot. Okay. Look at their leaf. Okay. Mostly the monocot leaf is really easy to differentiate. It's mostly long and narrow. Long and narrow leaf. You see that one, right? Like grasses, even palm tree, the leaf is actually long and narrow. How about the dicot? How their leaves gonna be look like? We call this broad leaf. Okay? It look like this maybe. Right? Broad leaf, right? This is long and narrow leaf. Now, if you see on the leaf, they have line. That line is called veins. Vein, okay? For the dicot, the vein is kind of branching like this. Okay, it's creating a network of veins. Yeah. In the monocot, if you see closely, like say just leaf, the grass leaf, or we just visited the sugar cane, right? You see that leaf? The veins, the line is actually parallel. One line like this going the same direction. Okay? That's the characteristic of monocot leaf. The vein is parallel. Okay, parallel vein. This one network of vein. Okay, so this vein is actually what we call vessel. So vein is actually made of vessel. Okay, vessel. Now we go back to human. Do we have vessels in our body? What is basically that vessel is called? It's called blood vessel, right? Okay, blood vessel. How many type of blood vessel actually in our body? There are how many type? Two main type, right? Two main type. What is the first one?
Arteries.
Arteries. What is the second one? Vein. Arteries and vein. Now, what is the difference between artery and vein?
One carries oxygen-rich blood and the other one carries
No, both of them carry oxygen.
rich versus poor.
Not also, because vein that coming from the lung is actually carry rich blood. That's not the definition for the difference between artery and vein, not based on the oxygen level, but based on where they go, where they're from. Anybody can tell what is artery?
Take blood away from the heart while veins return them.
That's right. So artery take blood from the heart, go to the cell. That's the reason why mostly arteries are rich or oxygenated, but not all of them. Right? Go to the tissue. The vein is the one that carry blood from the tissue back, return it back to the heart. You see that one, okay? The same thing with this plant. They also have two type of vessel. Two type of vessel. The first one is called xylem. Okay. The second one is called the, anybody know? Phloems. Now, what is the difference? It's almost similar with the artery and veins. The xylem is the one that carry water. Carry water from where? Where the water actually absorbed from? From the root, from the soil, right? From the root, mainly go to the leaf. Why they have to go to the leaf? Remember, water plus carbon dioxide plus sunlight is used to making what? Making glucose in the leaf for photosynthesis. So xylem carry the water from the soil, from the root to the leaf. How about phloem? It's going to be opposite. This is the one that carry the product of that photosynthesis, mostly sugar, go to other part of the plant. Like, for example, go to the fruit, right? From the leaf. This is what we call the phloem. Okay, you get this one? Now, if we cut the stem of the monocot and dicot, you're going to see that, let's say you're going to get dicot first. It's easier. That phloem and xylem is actually creating the rings. So there is a phloem, this is xylem, phloem, xylem, phloem, xylem. This is one ring, this is another ring, and etc. Creating the ring. So they are in the rings.
Does that mean like when someone counts the age of a tree?
Yeah. You can count the rings over here. So the older the plant, they will have more rings. It's called the annual rings.
Does that mean all trees are dicots?
No. If you cut and you see this ring, it means a dicot.
Oh. Okay.
But if you cut, you don't see the rings. Yeah, let's say the xylem, phloem over here, xylem, phloem over here, xylem, phloem over here, xylem, phloem over here. It's just scatter around. If you cut the tree and you see the scatter around, this is the monocot. Okay, so the vessel scatter, but in the dicot, the vessel creating what? Rings, in the form of rings. That's the difference between dicot and monocot on their vessel, phloem and xylem, how they are arranging in the stem. Okay, now what is the next difference? The root. Okay, the root. Let's say this is monocot. The root, they are actually the same size. The root have the same size. What? That root is called the fibrous root. So monocot have a fibrous root, like grass, the palm tree. They are actually the same size of root. Now look at the dicot. The dicot, the root actually they have one long root that going deep to the soil. That root is called the tap root. You guys went? And then from the tap root, there is another smaller root. It's called the lateral. Okay, lateral root. Lateral means side. Okay, lateral root. Usually the lateral root, the width of the lateral will be the same as the canopy, most likely. The canopy of the plant, of the tree. Okay, that's the dicot. It has taproot and what? Lateral root. How about the monocot? Fibrous root. Last one, flower. The flower part of the monocot usually tree like this, or combination of three. Okay, maybe they have another one, three over here, so gonna be 6, right? So like the one that picture that I give you is 6, right? That's actually 3 and 3. Okay, combination of 3. For the dicot, there may be 4 like this, or 5 like this, or multiplication of 4 or 5 if they have double, a lot of them like this. But it's gonna be multiplication of 4 or 5. Maybe it's gonna be 8, this is gonna be 10, and etc. You follow this? That's the difference between monocot and dicot based on their flowers parts. Okay? Anybody have question?
Do the vessels for the dicot plants have different name, or is it still phylum and?
The same name. The same name. Only they are scattered in monocot. They are rings in dicot. But for this assignment, you will not be able to see them because you will not cut the tree. Yes.
Can you also see veins in non-vascular plants?
I'm sorry?
Can you also see veins in non-vascular plants?
Yeah, vein is actually another name for vessel. So for the plant, it's just they say it vein. But actually, that vein is also consists of the xylem and the phloem. Okay, it's vein, it's vessel also. They just make it simple. It's vein. Okay, they don't call it arteries. Just vein. Okay. Any other question? So now your job. Okay, try to find that 10 plant. See the difference based on the characteristic that I gave it to you. And then after that, after you see them, then try to make a logical explanation about their adaptations on their habitats. Yes?
To what taxon do we need to identify them?
The what?
To what taxon?
Oh, you can, if you use the iNatural, you can go even to the species. If not, genus is enough.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so genus.
Yeah, genus is enough. Okay, I already saw my phone over here. How to actually, you take a picture first and then go to the iNatural app. You don't put that picture over there and then hit the question mark sign. Then hit done, it will give you the information about the name. Okay? I can show you later. Anybody have question? If not, we finish, then I will close that video, then I will show you how to do it, just about 1 minute.
Sometimes iNaturalist has difficulty identifying things.